Today I am introducing to you the CEO of Afrinic, Adiel Akplogan. Welcome, Mr. Akplogan. Could you please tell us the core activity of Afrinic in brief?
Yeah, Afrinic stands first of all for Africa Network Information Center. Our role and responsibility is mainly to manage number resources for Africa region, including Indian Ocean. And by number resources, we are talking about IP addresses. Every equipment connected to the internet has a unique IP addresses. So we provide those numbers in bulk to operators across the continent. And they have to justify the need and the usage of those numbers. So IP addresses, IS number. We also manage the reverse delegation tree on all those numbers. So we exist since 2004, and we serve all the 54 countries that compose the Africa region today.
What is the IP penetration in Africa?
The IP penetration in Africa compared to the rest of the world is around 6%. Which is equivalent to the internet penetration as well. However, we have seen over the past 2 years a very huge increase in the internet penetration. Right now, Africa stands at around 10% of penetration, which represent almost 100% increase over the past 3 years, which is quite encouraging. So we see that pattern also in IP address allocation, because as soon as people start connecting, when people connect, they need IP address. So automatically you can see the linkage.
And what are the limitations of IT sector in Africa?
The limitation of ICT sector comes with the limitation of the overall economical environment. I usually say that the two are linked. It is kind of utopic to believe that ICT can develop without economical development. So we are still at the verge of a huge boom of ICT development in the region. The main challenge that we have in the region is the development of ICT product. When we talk about ICT product, I'm talking about content, I'm talking about application, I'm talking about hardware, etc. As we say in economy, there is no country that develops by importing goods. You have to produce. You have to be part of the economy. And we have not reached that level yet. A few years ago, almost 10 years ago, when we talk about ICT in Africa, we talk mainly about access. We talk about the inexistence of cable or fiber, etc. Right now, we have a huge cable across the continent. We have availability of access around the continent. Now, we have two things now. How do we take those access around inland? How do we develop the infrastructure in country? That's one challenge. The second aspect is, what do we do with those bandwidth that we have? We have the pipe now. How do we fill them? Are we going to use the pipe to consume content from abroad, from US, from Europe, or we want to use that to export our knowledge, to export our information by providing or developing content, by developing application, by using those pipes to solve real socio-economical issues that are, people are facing day to day. I think we are at the border of that questioning right now, because the access is being solved, because mobile operators, new age investors are investing in cable. They are laying cable. Operators are building cable around everywhere. But what are we going to do with those cable is the question we are trying to solve right now.
And how Afrinic is updating with the new technology in terms of internet protocol from IPv4 to IPv6?
Well, I think we are, I will say, at the midst of that transition, and we have started since 2005 when we start operating. We have noticed that we cannot talk about the future of the internet in the region without talking about the future of the technology itself, and the future of the technology is IPv6. So we have started since 2005 to provide a very aggressive training program around the continent for free for operators, to help them transition. The main question that comes is, well, okay, you are still using IPv4 and we still have IPv4. Why do we have to care about IPv6? That's the question that comes all the time, not only in Africa though, it's a global question. But what we believe is that the internet is global. Even though in Africa we are rising now in terms of using the internet and we are still using IPv4, we cannot be an island of the internet. We have to connect to the rest of the world. So if the rest of the world start running out of IPv4 and moving to IPv6, we have to also be at that same level. So we start very early to promote IPv6 and to help operators to understand the transition mechanism, because the two protocols are not compatible. There are very specific mechanisms to allow the transition from IPv4 to IPv6, how to run the two protocols concurrently. So we have put a lot of effort in that over the past year, and also to let people know that it's not rocket science. It is the same internet. The principles are the same. It's just that we have more IP address available. We have some functionality that has been integrated into the protocol, which makes something easy. But as soon as you understand how the internet works, it's just an extension of the internet. Generally, people tell us, well, but there is no need, there is no demand for IPv6. So we're not going to move to IPv6. My answer is very short. There will never be demand for IPv6. There will always be demand for the internet. Okay. IPv6 is the internet. So if you manage to project your organization, your business, having internet as, as a service, by default, you have to go to IPv6 because you cannot continue providing internet service if you are not on IPv6. So the demand is there. The demand is continuing to provide internet service over the IP protocol, and the new generation is IPv6.
For experts' view, how do you see the ICT growth in future in the region of Africa?
I'm a very optimistic person on that. I believe that ICT will be a critical element for the growth in our region. Why that? Because we are benefiting from some, I would say, innovation in the technology. When we in early 90s we start using the internet, you need to have a computer, you need to have to have a landline, a telephone line to connect. You have so much constraint to connect. Today, with a mobile device that you can buy, you can get access to the internet. And I believe that with the development of those new technology, with the mobile access, with mobile application, and in a country where power is an issue, where economical capability of people is an issue, using those technology will bootstrap the development of ICT in the region. And Africa will become an innovative area because people will start thinking differently. They will start thinking about how they can solve their issue using the technology. Because the real problem that we have right now is that we consume a lot. We consume what people have developed to solve their issue. We do not develop things which solve our issue. So if the technology starts developing and people start saying that developing an app is not a rocket science, making those apps available on mobile is not a rocket science, they will start thinking about what can I develop for people to consume in my region, in my environment, that can bring me some wealth in terms of financial, but also solve their issue. And we are saying that if we look at mobile money, for instance, mobile money has been promoted and led by Africa. M-Pesa is an example. M-Pesa being the first platform that has been developed for mobile banking in Kenya. A few years after that, mobile money in Kenya was generating more revenue than other services like Western Union and all, because it has tried to adapt or answer a very specific question. How can I transfer money to rural area where people don't have bank, they don't have addresses, they don't know how to write? How can I transfer money to those areas where they need money? SMSs. It's very simple. You don't need to invest in a huge equipment. You just have a basic mobile phone, you can get money. So we will see more and more of applications that are really adapted to our environment, that are adapted to the way we live, which is very mobile. right? With our need of manipulating money, our need of making things less formal than in a European environment. So we need to dig those things, and I think the young generation and the availability of those technology will definitely foster our engagement or our appropriation of ICT in the environment, and it will be a critical element for the growth in Africa. I believe that.
Thank you, Mr. Akplogan, for being with us.